Before we begin, pause for a moment and listen to the silence within you. If you wish to understand the true power of quietude, like, subscribe, and turn on the bell to continue this journey with us. In a world growing noisier each day, where everyone wants to speak, to explain, to be seen, to be acknowledged, silence has become a rare and powerful force. Siddhartha Gautama, the fully enlightened Buddha, did not leave behind grandiose speeches or complex philosophies. He offered serenity, stillness, and wisdom as gentle as moonlight reflected upon a calm lake. There were questions he did not answer, insults he did not respond to. In every breath he took, silence was never emptiness. It was a vast sky of insight. Among the countless teachings the Buddha bestowed upon the world, the lesson on the power of silence may be one of the most essential for our chaotic times. All of us at some point have felt exhausted from explaining ourselves, debating endlessly, or trying to reason with people who never intended to understand us. Many of us have been hurt by words spoken carelessly, words that left deep marks on the heart. And more than once, we reacted in anger and later regretted the speed of our own tongue. Yet when we look back at the Buddha's life, we see something profoundly different. Even when facing slander, insults, attacks, or misunderstanding, he chose a response worthy of the greatest respect. He remained silent. He was not silent because he was weak, nor because he was afraid. He was silent because he saw the true nature of all things. He knew that reacting only fuels the fire, while silence allows it to extinguish on its own. We, living in this turbulent human world, often forget that when the mouth quiets, the mind becomes clear. When the heart is still, the vision widens. When our emotions surge, the words we speak are merely echoes of ignorance. The Buddha walked that path. He too was once a young prince, eager for truth, debating sages, longing to prove himself right. But once enlightened, he understood that truth cannot be found in noise. It reveals itself only in the absolute stillness of the mind. Therefore, when we listen to the teaching on the power of silence, we are not merely receiving moral advice. We are hearing a call to return to our breath, return to the clarity already within, return to the capacity to see things as they are, without excess speech or unnecessary action. Silence is not the absence of action. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is the choice not to react before we truly understand what is happening. It gives emotions time to settle. It gives wisdom a chance to speak. When a lake is disturbed, we cannot see its bottom, but when it is still, everything becomes clear. Our mind works the same way. When we rush to talk, argue, or refute, we only stir up the waters within ourselves. But when we pause, take a deep breath, and accept silence, the bottom of the lake appears. It is in silence that we see who truly cares for us and who merely performs affection. We see who is sincere and who holds hidden motives. We recognize opportunities and dangers, things invisible amidst noise. Most importantly, silence allows us to face ourselves, our anger, our wounds, our expectations, our quiet fears, our unhealed places. When we have the courage to sit with silence, we begin to hear the inner voice, the voice of wisdom, mindfulness, and compassion. The Buddha taught that the wise are not those who speak well, but those who speak at the right moment. The truly strong are not those who win arguments, but those who remain steady in chaos. Inner power does not belong to those who speak loudly, but to those whose mere presence inspires calm. In today's world, where every word can become a weapon and social media encourages reaction over reflection, the teaching of silence is more precious than ever. Not silence to endure, but silence to understand. Not silence to lose, but silence to conquer oneself. Not silence to weaken, but silence to grow stronger. This is the strength the Buddha wished to share. And today, as we enter this 80-minute journey, let us allow our minds to soften. Let us imagine sitting beneath the Bodhi tree, listening to the wind, the leaves, and the serene teachings of the Blessed One. Let each word flow into us like cool spring water, washing away dust from hurried days. And let us open our hearts to the sacred lesson of silence, a quiet force powerful enough to transform an entire life. This is not merely a teaching, this is a homecoming, a coming home to ourselves, a coming home to the peace that has always been within us, a coming home to the gentle light of wisdom the Buddha ignited for humanity. When people speak of the Buddha, they often remember his serene smile, his compassionate gaze, his steady steps. Yet there is something deeper, something not everyone notices, the wisdom of silence. Throughout his years of teaching, he encountered all kinds of people, from brilliant sages and wise scholars to powerful kings to malicious individuals who sought ways to test him. With all of them, he used the wisdom of silence to transform. Some questions, even after 1,000 lifetimes, have no meaningful answer. Some issues bring no benefit, no matter how intensely one debates them. Some people come only to provoke, to find flaws, to prove themselves right without caring about truth. In all such cases, the Buddha chose silence, for he knew that arguing with those unready only breeds more fatigue. Explaining to someone who does not want to understand only burdens the mind, and none of it leads to peace. Once, a man came to ask lofty philosophical questions. Does the soul exist? Is the universe finite or infinite? Is there anything after death? He waited eagerly for the Buddha's reply, but the Buddha remained completely silent. The man left disappointed, and the disciples were confused. Why did the Blessed One not answer? Why remain silent when the world longed for his voice? The Buddha explained gently that some questions, regardless of the answer, cannot lead one to liberation. They do not end suffering, they only create more confusion. Like a man struck by a poisoned arrow, who, instead of pulling it out, insists on knowing who shot it, from where, with what bow, crafted from what wood. Even if these questions were answered, would he survive? What he needs most is treatment, not theory. Thus, silence was the Buddha's most appropriate response. In another story, while the Buddha was on alms round, a group driven by jealousy slandered him with cruel words and false rumors. The disciples grew angry and wanted the Buddha to defend himself, but he simply smiled and walked on. He said that if someone brings a gift we do not accept, the gift remains with them. Likewise, if someone offers us harsh words and we do not take them into our hearts, those words return to their source. Argument, justification, or defense does not change truth. Truth reveals itself in time. And indeed, in time, there lies unraveled on their own. Truth does not need noise. It needs only time. The Buddha remained silent, not out of superiority, but because words would have only increased resentment, while silence kept his mind untainted. The disciples once asked, "Why does the Blessed One stay silent in the face of insult?" He answered, "Even if someone were to cut my body into pieces, I would not give rise to anger. How much less for mere words carried by the wind?" This reveals profound compassion and an inner strength beyond comprehension. Most people are shaken by small things. A criticism ruins their peace, a misunderstanding steals their sleep. But the Buddha's mind was vast, like the ocean, unmoved by waves. He understood the true nature of words. They are only sounds, passing through the air, then disappearing. Not worth carrying as burdens. Another story tells of a violent man who confronted the Buddha with intense insults, hoping to provoke him into anger and retaliation. The Buddha stood still, looking at him with gentle eyes. When the man demanded to know why he did not respond, the Buddha asked softly, "If you bring food to someone and they refuse it, to whom does the food belong?" The man replied, "It remains mine." The Buddha said, "You have brought me harsh words. I do not accept them. So to whom do they belong? You already know." Like a lantern dispelling darkness, that single sentence awakened the man. The Buddha's silence was not avoidance, but transformation, strength rising above human instinct. From these stories we see clearly, the Buddha's silence was never fear or submission. It was wisdom. Wisdom saw that words could not help those drowning in anger. Only stillness could reflect their minds back to them. Today, we often believe that speaking boldly shows strength, that arguing shows intelligence, that defending ourselves proves our worth. But the Buddha showed us a different path. The strongest person is the one who remains unmoved in storms, who stands steady in turmoil, who smiles gently when criticized, because they understand that people's words cannot harm them unless they allow it. The wise do not need to prove anything. They do not need to display themselves. They simply live in truth, and time reveals everything else. The Buddha's moments of silence were not empty. They were profound teachings. Every silence was a sermon. What can we learn from this? We can learn to step back before anger takes over, to look deeper instead of reacting instantly, to listen with the heart, not just the ears, to remain silent when words bring no benefit. When silence is used correctly, the mind opens, wider, lighter, clearer. The Buddha used silence to protect his mind, but also to help others see theirs. Many people believe strength lies in speech, argument, cleverness, but upon closer observation, we find the opposite. The loudest person is rarely the strongest. They are often hiding their own insecurity. The truly strong are calm, quiet, inwardly powerful, silent like a still lake whose depth holds immense strength. The silence of the wise is not the silence of the weak. The weak are silent out of fear. The wise are silent out of understanding. Not everything needs explanation. Not every argument deserves engagement. Not everyone is worthy of our sincere words. Some people speak endlessly as if silence is a burden. They talk to fill space, to assert themselves, to seek validation. Yet the more they speak, the more their weaknesses are revealed. People lacking experience talk much to prove themselves. People lacking confidence talk much to feel in control. But the more they talk, the more they expose what should remain concealed. The truly strong do not need noise. They observe more than they speak. They listen more carefully than they respond. They take time to understand before acting. Their stillness becomes their strength, like masters of strategy who never rush, never reveal themselves too soon, quietly perceiving everything and always remaining a step ahead. When we meet someone calm amid the crowd, unmoved by noise, unshaken by criticism, we immediately sense a different kind of energy. They speak little, yet when they do, others listen. They avoid arguments, yet their words carry weight. That power comes from deep inner silence, untouchable by external chaos. Those who know how to be silent observe with great subtlety. Without the urge to speak, they have more space to perceive. They notice tiny shifts in someone's eyes. They hear tremors hidden in a voice. They feel sincerity or deception in the smallest gesture. These are things that constant talkers never detect. Across cultures, people often say, the wise speak little. Buddhism teaches, fewer words, fewer disturbances. Silence turns our gaze inward. It reduces the hunger to be heard. Paradoxically, it makes others truly want to listen to us. A silent person understands timing, the rhythm of causes and conditions. Sometimes speaking is beneficial, sometimes harmful. Sometimes silence saves relationships and peace. A single unnecessary sentence can destroy what has taken years to build. In conflict, the silent person always holds the advantage. The talker is ruled by emotion, saying things they do not mean, words they will later regret. But the silent one allows anger to pass like a dark cloud. They step back and see the problem from afar. And when they finally speak, their words arise not from impulse, but from clarity. In worldly thinking, the person who speaks last is the winner. But in Buddhist wisdom, the true winner is the one who keeps inner peace. Silence at the right moment protects the purity of speech and keeps the heart untainted. Excessive speech leads to judgment of others, of life, of oneself. Silent observation dissolves judgment. The silent person sees others suffering with compassion, not criticism. They see misfortune not to complain, but to learn. They see mistakes not to condemn, but to grow. Silence preserves energy. Speech drains it. Arguments exhaust it. Sighs scatter it. The long, silent elders are not without stories. They simply understand that most of life needs no explanation. Some matters grow worse when talked about. Some misunderstandings deepen when clarified. Some relationships break further with each argument. Maturity eventually reveals that silence is often the kindest response and the most powerful. Silent people do not chase approval. They let actions speak. They let consistency speak. They let time speak. And the world respects them, not for how much they talk, but for the weight behind every word they eventually choose to say. At times, silence is compassion. When someone is in pain, dominated by anger, words may only hurt them more. When someone is unready for advice, speaking creates more karma. Not everyone has the conditions to understand truth at the same moment. Thus, silence preserves harmony. Their silent presence becomes a space for others to reflect. This is why those with strong inner power bring peace simply by being there. Silence gives the wise perfect timing. They speak when needed, act when needed, but never rush at the pull of emotion. How then do we cultivate silence? By training ourselves to listen more, to observe before judging, to recognize emotions before reacting, to give ourselves even a brief inner pause, long enough for wisdom to arise. In silence, healing begins. We face our wounds, fears, sorrows. We allow them to surface, meet them with compassion, and gently release them. Silence becomes the deepest form of therapy. Silence restores mindfulness. We perceive what we once overlooked. We hear the wind. We hear our own heart. We hear the workings of karma. Strength does not lie in knowledge alone, but in mastery of the mind. A mind unmoved by words, a mind that knows when to stop, a mind no longer seeking to win, only to understand and love. This is the strength the Buddha embodied, and it is the strength we can nurture every day. When people have not learned silence, they cannot yet learn observation. A constantly talking mouth and a constantly reacting mind leave no room for insight. The Buddha taught, "Observe, do not judge." Observation can arise only in silence. Silence is not the absence of sound, but the absence of turbulence within. When the mind is still, we perceive truth. We see not only with the eyes, but with intuition. We hear not only with the ears, but with the heart. We sense emotions even before they are spoken. We understand what is unsaid more deeply than what is said. Often we judge a person within seconds based on surface actions or words. But with maturity, we learn that what people express is only the surface. Their true feelings lie in the spaces between their words. The Buddha often sat silently with those who sought his guidance. He watched their posture, listened to their breath, observed their eyes, felt their energy. Often, before they spoke, he already understood their suffering. Thus, his teachings were precise, timely, and transformative. Observation is not merely seeing, it is seeing with awareness. When we observe others with a silent mind, we see beyond their behavior, we see their pain, their fears, their insecurity. We understand that their harshness may come from suffering, and compassion naturally arises. Observation in silence also reveals ourselves. We see the roots of our anger, the fears that shape our choices, the desires we have never named. We notice that what we dislike in others often exists within ourselves. Silence is the mirror. Observation is the light. A wise person speaks sparingly, choosing words with care, aware that speech can heal or harm. Observation also reveals impermanence, the core truth of life. We see emotions rise and fall. We see gain and loss appear and pass away. We see that nothing lasts. And with that understanding, we stop clinging. The heart becomes light, and this is the beginning of true freedom. Those who truly observe also know how to listen deeply. They listen to understand, not to reply. They listen to perceive what has not yet been spoken. They listen with their whole heart. When we genuinely listen to someone, we give them the precious feeling of being understood. And sometimes, just being heard is enough for a person to release the pain they have carried for so long. In moments of silence, we can also observe the flow of causes and conditions. We see that some things do not happen by accident. Some encounters bring lessons. Some separations bring growth. Some difficulties carry hidden blessings. Some events that seem like misfortune actually open new doors. When the mind is still, we more easily recognize these messages. We understand that every turning point has its reason, and that reason is always guiding us toward maturity. The silence the Buddha taught is not passive silence. It is awakened silence. Silence that looks deeply. One who truly observes does not stand outside of life. They are fully present in every moment of it. They drink a sip of water in mindfulness. They take each step in mindfulness. Their speech and their silence both have meaning. Every action carries clarity. Such a person is not easily deceived by appearances. They see through the outer shell to the essence. They do not focus only on words, but on motivation. Not only on actions, but on the mind behind them. Not just on the surface, but on the whole picture. A person like that is rarely wounded by others because they understand people, and they rarely hurt others because they understand themselves. When we train the capacity to observe in silence, we become masters of our inner world. We are no longer swept away by trivialities. We are not uplifted by praise, nor shaken by criticism. We are not easily provoked by gossip, comparison, jealousy, or rivalry. Our mind becomes like a morning lake, perhaps gently rippled by the winds of life, but never losing its natural clarity. From that stillness, we begin to see something profoundly important. It is the way we observe the world that creates the world we live in. If we observe with anger, everything seems hateful. If we observe with delusion, everything seems blurry. If we observe with greed, everything seems lacking. But when we observe with mindfulness, everything becomes a lesson. And when we observe with compassion, everything becomes worthy of love. Observation in silence makes us gentler but not weak, more grounded but not rigid, more profound but not heavy. Looking at life with such eyes, we realize that everyone is fighting a battle we know nothing about. Everyone carries a hidden sorrow we cannot see. And instead of judging, we choose to empathize. This kind of observation not only helps us understand others and life, it also helps us understand ourselves so deeply that we can begin to transform our suffering. Only when we see the root can we pull it up. Only when we truly see the nature of something can we free ourselves from it. We could say, silence is the doorway. Observation is the step through that doorway. Wisdom is what we find at the end of the path. When the mind is strong enough to be still and deep enough to observe, we begin to see life in a completely different way. We see light in what seemed dark. We see lessons in what seemed misfortune. We see opportunities in what seemed failures. And we see ourselves reflected in all of it. This is the wisdom that only silent observation can bring. It is the wisdom the Buddha embodied and transmitted to us. And it is also the most precious gift we can offer ourselves on the path of awakening. Among the countless noble qualities the Buddha taught, two are like wings that carry us beyond suffering: patience and compassion. Many people hear the word patience and think of endurance, weakness, or losing. But in the Dharma, patience is not resignation. It is the highest form of inner strength. And compassion is not softness. It is the wisdom that sees deeply into the nature of human beings and of life. If we look carefully at the Buddha's life, we see that everything he did was supported by these two qualities. He was patient not because he could not resist, but because he did not need to. He was compassionate not because he was weak, but because he saw the suffering in every person, even in those who came to harm him. That is why, more than 2,500 years later, his teachings still illuminate the lives of millions. Patience in Buddhism is not gritting our teeth and storing up resentment. Patience, as the Buddha taught, is calm in adversity, steadiness in storms, flexibility without breaking, strength without display. Patience is the ability to keep the mind untouched by anger, even when attacked, misunderstood, or insulted. The Buddha said, "There is no fire like anger. There is no flood like desire. There is no snare like ignorance." Thus, one who practices patience is freeing themselves from the fire of anger and the rope of ignorance tightening around the heart. Some think that quick reactions show cleverness and strong responses show courage. But in truth, quick reactions are often driven by instinct, whereas patience requires great inner power. It is easy to lose our temper, but difficult to remain peaceful in chaos. It is easy to get angry, but profoundly difficult to look at someone with compassion while they are hurting us. For this reason, the Buddha taught that patience is like armor protecting practitioners from the dangers of worldly life. Those who are patient often carry a quiet presence. They are not easily shaken by rumor or criticism. They do not rush to retaliate against hurtful words. They do not choose the path of winning and losing, because they know that such battles only pollute the mind. Yet they are not giving up, because patience is not defeat. Patience is victory over oneself. One morning, while the Buddha was traveling and teaching, a man approached him and began yelling, cursing, and insulting him harshly. The disciples were furious, but the Buddha stood calmly, silently observing the man. When the man was exhausted, the Buddha gently asked, "If someone brings a gift to another, and the other person does not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man replied, "It remains with me." The Buddha smiled. "In the same way, you have brought harsh words here, but the Tathagata does not accept them. So to whom do they belong? You already know, just one sentence, yet it held an ocean of wisdom. The Buddha's patience was not passive endurance. It was the refusal to allow his mind to be stained by others' words. That is the greatest victory, victory over one's own anger. Patience and compassion always walk together. When we see the suffering of others, forgiveness comes more easily. When we understand that everyone carries a story we do not know, our hearts naturally soften. The one who hurts us may themselves be deeply wounded. The one who speaks harshly may be someone who has never been truly heard. The one who acts wrongly may be drowning in ignorance. Seeing this, resentment transforms into compassion. There is a beautiful story of forbearance you may have heard. An old woman named Man lost everything she had after being cheated by her own cousin. She became penniless, had to sell her house, and lived on ancestral land. When asked if she bore resentment, she simply smiled gently and said, "If I hold resentment, my heart will suffer. I've already lost my possessions. I won't let myself lose my heart as well." Years later, when that cousin returned, ruined and rejected by everyone, only she opened her door to him. No reproach, no mention of the past, only a quiet kindness like soft afternoon sunlight. Such a story moves people to tears. In the eyes of that weathered woman, patience was not weakness, but the strength of a soul that had passed through many storms and discovered that releasing hatred is the only way to be at peace. Modern psychology has come to a similar insight. When we are angry, the first person we harm is ourselves. Anger makes the heart race, the breath heavy, the mind cloudy. If we feed it for too long, it becomes poison, killing our inner peace. The Buddha understood this long ago. He said, "Anger is like holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned first." Patience is not only patience toward others, it is patience toward ourselves. We must be patient with our limitations, our failures, our unfulfilled dreams, our pain as it transforms. Without patience, we give up easily, blame ourselves harshly, and lose our way. With patience, we accept each small step on the path of inner growth, and we begin to see remarkable changes. A compassionate person not only brings ease to others, but also rescues their own soul. When we love others, we open a door for ourselves to step out of darkness. When we forgive, even when others seem undeserving, we are the first to be freed. When we look at others with warmth, our own heart becomes peaceful. Compassion is not only a gift we give others, it is also a gift we give ourselves. There was a man who was betrayed by his colleagues and lost his position when his career was rising. Family and friends urged him to fight, sue, and demand justice. But he quietly walked away. No explanation, no blame. He started over from nothing, with calloused hands and a mind free of hatred. Years later, the truth came to light. He was invited back, this time to an even higher position. When asked why he had not spoken up back then, he replied, "The louder you shout, the more you hide the truth. I chose silence so that what is right would find its own way." That is the courage of patience. Patience is not surrender. It is trust in karma. Patience is knowing that nothing escapes the law of cause and effect. Patience is knowing that goodness has its own voice, even if it is never loud. And through such patience, compassion grows. We begin to see that no one is perfect. Everyone has been ignorant. Everyone has made mistakes. Ignorance is more deserving of compassion than condemnation. When we can feel compassion, even for someone who has hurt us, our heart has reached a new level of maturity. In this turbulent world, compassion is the boat that carries us across the sea of suffering. It lightens our heart, broadens our path, and fills each step with peace. Compassion is when we choose to understand instead of blame, to love instead of hate, to yield instead of explode. Not because we fear others, but because we wish to protect our own peace. Compassion also helps us face the darker parts within ourselves. Those who are compassionate toward others are also compassionate toward themselves. They forgive their own mistakes. They are gentle with their past failures. They recognize their own ignorance and weakness, yet do not torment themselves endlessly. They know how to let go and keep growing. Patience and compassion, when combined, create a miraculous strength. Patience keeps us from reacting rashly. Compassion guides us to respond wisely. Patience keeps us from losing ourselves. Compassion helps us see the true nature of others. Patience keeps our mind from raging. Compassion turns it into a clear lake reflecting the moon. When these two qualities merge, we become free, free from anger, free from resentment, free from meaningless battles, free from the chains our own mind has created. Patience and compassion are not abstract theories. They are practical companions we can carry in each breath. When insulted, we practice a little patience. When others are wrong, we practice a little compassion. When life tests us, we practice a little perseverance. When we fail, we practice a little kindness toward ourselves. These little acts open up an immense path. For as the Buddha taught, hatred does not cease by hatred. Hatred ceases only by love. This is an eternal law. Patience is strength. Compassion is wisdom. Whoever lives with both is already walking far on the path to liberation. On the path of practice and awakening, the Buddha revealed an eternal truth. Everything in life operates under the law of karma, cause and effect. Karma is not loud, not hurried, and does not need to be seen. It works quietly, like an underground stream. At times it seems absent, yet when conditions ripen, it surfaces with consequences none can escape. Like the silence of the wise, karma functions invisibly, yet its power is deeper than any spoken word. People often ask why some do wrong, yet live in comfort, while some who live kindly face endless hardship. The Buddha taught that if we judge only within a single lifetime, we cannot understand the workings of the universe. Karma is not measured within the brief span of one life, but across the vast flow of many lives. Some results appear immediately, like a person who speaks cruelly and is instantly shunned. Some appear later, like harmful deeds done today that bring suffering years from now. And some do not manifest until future lives, because the conditions are not yet complete. Karma is always fair, but the timing of its fruits depends on many converging factors. The Buddha said, "One who does not understand karma is like a person who looks into a well and sees only their reflection, not its depth." Those who do not understand karma easily fall into resentment, believing life is unfair. Those who do understand know that everything they experience has roots. Silence then becomes our way of letting life itself answer for us. One evening a young man asked the Buddha, "Blessed One, I live a good life, yet I face so much misfortune. Meanwhile, some who act wrongly are prosperous. Does this mean karma is unjust?" The Buddha did not answer immediately. He scooped up a handful of earth and asked, "Is the earth in my hand greater, or the earth of the entire world greater?" "Of course, the earth of the entire world is greater," the young man replied. The Buddha smiled. "The suffering you bear in this life is like the earth in my hand. The karma you have accumulated over countless past lives is like the earth of the entire world. How much of it can you remember?" That answer awakens many. We see only our present pain, forgetting that it may be the echo of harmful seeds we ourselves once planted. Yet the most important question is not what we have done in the past, but what we are planting now for the future. Karma works in silence like a farmer sowing seeds. Whatever is planted, the earth returns in kind. Sow bitter seeds, reap bitter fruit. Sow wholesome seeds, reap blessings, whether in one season or many. One who understands karma does not rush, does not complain, does not envy another's wealth. They know each enjoys their own merit, each bears their own karma. Everyone walks a path only the universe can fully see. There is a famous story of an official known as Liu, a powerful magistrate. He was cruel, exploited the people, and destroyed the lives of honest men to advance his career. One day, a monk warned him that his karma would come. The monk gave him a stone and said, "When your karma ripens, this stone will break." Liu laughed in scorn. Years later, when his only son died of a strange illness, the stone suddenly cracked. Only then did he realize that karma is not a threat, but an unbending law. He left his office and became a monk. His despair was not only from losing his son, but from recognizing how much suffering he had caused in his life. Stories like this are not meant to frighten us, but to remind us that karma is natural law. No one escapes it. No one can bribe it. No one can run from it. But the beautiful teaching of the Buddha is this: karma can be transformed. It is not a permanent sentence. Karma changes the moment the mind changes. You may be driven by old karma into hardship, but every mindful breath, every good deed, every compassionate thought is a new seed altering the course of your life. Old karma ripens not to punish you, but to purify you. Each fruit that ripens relieves you of some burden. When you look at it with a calm mind, the impact softens. There was a man named Dieu Am whose life was filled with disaster, illness, loss, failure, despite his efforts to live decently. In despair, he sought the guidance of an old monk. The monk pointed to an ancient tree and said, "Over 100 years ago, a young boy cut this tree when it was still a sapling. The tree suffered but did not resent. It continued through cycles of death and rebirth, returning as this great tree. It did not complain. It did not hate. It simply kept growing. You are the same. Karma does not come to kill you, but to shape you. Repent and sow new seeds. No one lives righteously without eventually reaping blessings." Hearing this, Dieu Am wept. He remembered how badly he had treated his former wife. That wound had returned in the form of his own misfortunes. From then on, he lived virtuously, helped others, and practiced mindfulness. Over time, his final years became strangely peaceful. It was not that all his suffering disappeared, but that his heart was no longer resentful. Karma functions this way: quiet yet precise, invisible yet unfailingly accurate. If you are suffering deeply now, do not be quick to say life is unfair. Understand instead that what comes to you is not meant to torment you, but to perfect you. See each pain as a portion of karma being released. See each challenge as a lesson for your soul to grow. With that view, suffering becomes lighter. Another story tells of a scholar named Songvan, brilliant yet heartless in love. He hurt many women, leaving them broken. An old beggar warned him, "The debts of love in this life will be repaid in the next." He laughed it off. After his death, he was reborn as a woman who endured bitter treatment, heartbreak, and betrayal, exactly as he once caused. Near the end of her life, she became a nun named Tin Yen, Peace of Love. When she learned of her past life, she simply sighed. Cause and effect never miss their mark. Karma does not come to punish, but to help us feel the suffering we once inflicted. When we understand that, we grow. When we grow, compassion arises. The silent workings of karma also appear in the way people enter our lives to help complete our lessons. The one who hurts us is not an enemy, but a teacher of forgiveness. The one who leaves us is not a cruel fate, but the natural end of a bond. The one who lifts us up at the right moment is not random, but the ripening of merit. Everyone who comes into our life carries a role. When the lesson is complete, they leave, or we do. A person with right view does not resent karma. They know they will reap whatever they sow. They do not fear karma because they live righteously. They do not chase after rituals to escape bad results, but change themselves to create good ones. They do not envy the blessings of others, knowing those blessings are the fruits of seeds those people once planted. They are not afraid of paying off their karma, because each payment makes them lighter. A man named Hoa lived kindly, yet lost a leg in a terrible accident. He fell into despair, feeling life was cruel. One day, after hearing a monk speak of seeds underground, he awakened. Some seeds sprout in one season, some after 3 years, some only after enduring long winters. He realized that his good seeds had simply not yet ripened. He began living even more virtuously, created a small workshop to employ people with disabilities, and blessings came quietly. He stopped asking, "Why am I suffering?" and instead asked, "Have I lived kindly today?" Good karma began to bloom in his life. Karma teaches us not to rush to conclusions when we see bad people thriving and good people struggling. What we see is only a small slice of a vast journey. Those who do wrong but prosper are living on old merit. Their negative karma has not yet come. Those who live kindly yet suffer are burning through old karma. Their merit has not yet manifested. When old karma is spent, blessings will appear. When blessings are exhausted, karma will rise. No one escapes this law. Karma works quietly, yet it beats like the heart of the universe. The more we understand it, the less we need to compete. The more we see it, the less anger we carry. The more we live in alignment with it, the less we fear tomorrow. A monk once said, "You do not have to believe in karma, but live as if karma always sees you." When we live like that, we naturally become careful with every word, thought, and action. We do no harm even in secret. We do not lie even when no one hears. We do not entertain cruel thoughts even when no one knows. We understand that everything we do becomes a seed in the field of consciousness, and all of it will eventually manifest. Karma does not always wait until another lifetime to ripen. Sometimes it appears in a single glance, a single breath, a single feeling. When we act rightly, we feel at ease. When we act wrongly, we feel disturbed. That unease is already a form of karmic result. That ease is already a blessing. Karma is not far away. It is present in every feeling that passes through us. Those who deeply understand karma cherish what is good and remain calm in hardship. They know every pain comes to help them grow. No lesson is easy. No achievement comes without trials. Karma does not come to destroy us, but to shape us. Through it, we mature, our hearts widen, and our wisdom brightens. Karma operates in silence, but those who listen will perceive it. Those who observe will understand. Those who live virtuously will welcome it. Those who cultivate compassion will transform it. Each of us is writing the scripture of our own life. Karma is the ink. Thoughts are the pen. Actions are the lines of text. What we write today is what we will read tomorrow. When we understand this law, we live more lightly. No more desperate competition. No more blaming. No more envy. No more hatred. We live rightly, not out of fear of punishment, but out of the wish to plant wholesome seeds. We live properly, not because others are watching, but because we know that is the only way to keep our heart at peace. This is the wisdom of one who views life through the lens of karma. This is the peace of one who lives with right view. This is the freedom of one who quietly sows the right causes. All our lives, we search for peace, but few truly understand where it comes from. Some strive to earn more money, hoping it will ease their worries. Some seek relationships to fill an inner emptiness. Some chase fame, believing applause will give them value, but the more they run, the more exhausted they become. The more they grasp, the more they hurt. The more they want, the more restless their hearts become. One day, when they are drained, they finally realize peace does not come from what we acquire, but from what we can release. Happiness does not lie in where we arrive, but in a heart that knows contentment. Letting go and contentment, two qualities that seem simple, yet form the firmest foundation of a peaceful life. The Buddha taught, "No one can make you suffer except yourself, and you suffer because you do not know how to let go. Those who hold too much grow tired in their arms. Those who cling too tightly suffer in their hearts. We think that letting go is losing, but the Dharma reveals that letting go is liberation. What makes us suffer is not the situation itself, but our attachment to it. We cling to money, so we fear losing it. We cling to status, so we fear falling. We cling to praise, so we are crushed by criticism. We cling to our self-image, so we are terrified of failure. We cling to those we love, so we shatter when they leave. Each attachment is like a rope tied around the heart, pulling us in every direction, making us slaves to circumstances. When the Buddha was in this world, someone asked him, "How can I be free from suffering?" He did not answer with complex philosophy. Instead, he held up a small twig and asked, "Is this heavy or light?" The person replied, "It's light, Blessed One." The Buddha asked, "If you hold it all day, how will it feel?" "I will grow tired, weak. I will be in pain." The Buddha smiled. "It is not heavy. You suffer because you refuse to put it down." This answer contains a great truth. Many things in life are not inherently heavy. We make them heavy by holding on to them too long. A careless remark, we carry it for years. A broken relationship, we carry it for a lifetime. A small failure, we keep as a wound that never heals. Letting go does not mean erasing the past. It means recognizing that we no longer need to carry it. Some say, "I want to let go, but I cannot." In truth, it is not that we cannot let go. It is that we fear emptiness. We fear that if we let go of someone, we will be alone. We fear that if we let go of success, we will be forgotten. We fear that if we let go of control, everything will fall apart. But looking deeply, we see the opposite. It is attachment that creates loneliness. It is craving that causes wounds. It is the need to control that makes everything spin out of control. Letting go is a power that arises when we see the impermanent nature of all things. Everything comes and goes. People come and go. Joy comes and goes. Sadness comes and goes. Nothing belongs to us forever. When we truly understand that nothing is mine, we can lay things down without fear. Letting go is not only letting go of pain, it is also letting go of expectations. Human beings suffer because they expect too much. We expect others to understand us, to love us as we wish. We expect life to flow smoothly. We expect people to behave as we think they should. We expect events to follow our plans. But life does not follow our desires. It follows causes and conditions. When we live by craving, disappointment is constant. When we live by understanding conditions, peace becomes constant. When we release expectations, we return to the present moment. We see life as more beautiful because we no longer demand that it be different. We see others as more lovable because we no longer expect perfection. We see ourselves as more at ease because we no longer force ourselves to achieve everything. And it is at that moment that we touch the door of contentment. Contentment does not mean living with less. It means living in such a way that the heart feels enough. A person with little can feel enough. A person with much can still feel lacking. Enough is not a measure of wealth, it is a state of mind. Some sleep in a humble home, yet smile in happiness. Some live in mansions, yet feel perpetually dissatisfied. A contented heart is a great blessing, greater than riches. The Buddha said, "One who knows contentment, even lying on the ground, feels at ease. One who does not know contentment, even in the heavens, is dissatisfied." This makes it clear, fulfillment does not come from circumstances, but from the mind. Those who know contentment are as light as clouds. They do not compare, do not envy. They do not chase others to prove themselves. They cherish each meal, each breath, each moment. They are grateful to life for giving them more than they once thought possible. I recall the story of a poor rickshaw driver who was always smiling. When asked why he was so happy despite his hard life, he replied, "Any day I can still pedal is a day I can still eat. Some days it's just vegetables, some days a bit of dried fish. That's enough." His enough did not come from having much, but from not demanding much. Contentment made him rich in a way money could never buy. Such simple people teach us, when the heart feels enough, life feels enough. Contentment does not mean we stop striving. It means we know the boundary between rightful aspiration and endless ambition. We still work for a better future, but do not sacrifice the present. We still move toward goodness, but do not forget to treasure what is here now. Those who know contentment often ask themselves, does this truly contribute to my happiness? And many times the answer is no. People who know how to let go and know how to be content carry a unique, calm energy. They do not blame life. They do not blame others. They do not curse fate. They do not complain about the past. They live lightly, like a fresh morning, gentle like the first drop of dew. They know life is imperfect, but their heart can be at peace. They know the world has storms, but within them there is always a quiet sky. When we know how to let go, we free ourselves from invisible chains. When we know contentment, we step out of the bottomless trap of greed. When these two merge, we naturally enter a state of peace that people chase for a lifetime yet may never find. Many live in noisy cities with a storm in their heart. Others live in simple homes, but possess a mind as still as meditation. What matters is not where we live, but how we live. Those who practice letting go do not allow their heart to hoard heavy things. Those who practice contentment do not let their mind chase unattainable things. When the heart is no longer caught in pointless races, life becomes more beautiful. Letting go also heals us. When we release relationships that no longer fit, we give ourselves a chance to love correctly. When we release past wounds, we give the heart a chance to blossom. When we release unrealistic expectations of ourselves, we give the body and mind a chance to rest. When we release grudges, we allow our mind to shine again. The scriptures offer a beautiful image. See the mind as the sky. All emotions are passing clouds. When we cling to the clouds, we suffer. When we remember we are the sky, we are free. Likewise, when we see ourselves as the one who must hold everything, we suffer. When we understand that everything is just a guest, we are at ease. Letting go is not losing, it is seeing the true nature of things and no longer letting them bind us. Letting go and contentment form the foundation of inner freedom. A free person is not one with many choices, but one who is not controlled by their desires. A free person is not one standing in the highest place, but one who feels peaceful wherever they stand. A free person does not need the world to understand them, because they understand themselves. They do not need others to validate them, because they know their own worth from within. Many think freedom comes from gaining more. In truth, freedom comes from setting things down. When we release the rope of craving, when we lower the load of the past, when we drop the fear of the future, we return to ourselves, light, spacious, at ease. The Buddha taught, to know how to let go is to know how to live. Indeed, there is no moment more liberating than the moment we finally release something we have clung to for years. There is no joy deeper than realizing we do not need very much to be happy. Contentment allows us to feel everything with gratitude. A simple meal tastes wonderful. A gentle breeze becomes precious. A quiet afternoon turns into a beautiful moment. When the heart knows enough, we no longer seek happiness far away. We find it in each breath, And when we live in contentment, we become truly rich, not in possessions, but in peace. When others are still chasing, we have already stopped. When others are still fighting, we are already smiling. When others still harbor resentment, we have already forgiven. When others are still searching, we have already found. Because peace is not out there. It lives in a heart that knows how to let go and knows how to feel enough. In a human lifetime, perhaps the most difficult thing to understand is karma. Karma cannot be seen, cannot be touched, cannot be measured by the standards of the world, yet it affects every breath, every step, every fragment of a life. There are things we simply cannot explain. Why do we live kindly yet still suffer? Why do we do good and still meet injustice? Why do some people commit countless wrongs yet remain at ease, while we owe nothing to anyone and still feel unbearably heavy inside? To resolve these questions, the Buddha devoted his entire life to teaching the path of transforming karma. And the wondrous thing is that he showed us karma is not fixed. Karma is not a life sentence. Karma does not bind us forever. On the contrary, karma can be transformed, like muddy water that can become clear, like a burned forest that can grow green again. And what brings about that transformation is not noise, not argument, but mindful silence. Karma is born from body, speech, and mind. When these three doors open in ignorance, they create unwholesome karma. When they open in mindfulness, they create wholesome karma. Yet among the three, verbal karma, speech, is what causes us to create karma the fastest, the most, and the deepest. That is why silence is not only a way to keep the mind at peace, but also a way to avoid sowing new karma. Someone once asked, "If I have already created karma, how can I resolve it?" The Buddha taught that karma is like a seed. If we water it with anger, it grows into a tree of suffering. If we water it with resentment, it becomes a forest of pain. But if we water it with mindfulness, with compassion, with sincere repentance, that seed will begin to transform. It does not disappear immediately, but it softens, becomes lighter, and gradually becomes the soil for a better seed to sprout. Transforming karma through silence does not mean sitting still and waiting for a miracle. It means not reacting out of ignorance, not adding oil to the fire, not creating new karma while old karma is ripening. A person who knows how to remain silent when karma arrives is like one who knows to sit down in the middle of a storm. The storm is still there, but they are not blown away. They do not complain. They do not blame heaven. They do not blame anyone. They let karma come like a dark cloud and then let it drift away. There is a story about Huyen Vuong, a man who had done many evil deeds, killing, deceiving, harming good people. One year, he had an accident that left his body ruined and his life shattered. When he came to the temple, he clung to the Buddha's feet and wept. Many thought he could never change, but something miraculous happened. He became silent. He did not complain. He did not blame. He simply quietly repented, recited sutras every day, and humbly did whatever work he was given. 10 years later, he had become a virtuous man, respected by the entire village. What changed him was not time, but the silence that turned him inward. He no longer made excuses for himself. He no longer praised himself. He no longer argued about right and wrong. That silence opened the way for old karma to dissolve. When the heart softens, karma transforms. In the life of the Buddha, there is another story about transforming karma in silence. A young monk named Thien He felt sharp pain in his heart every time he sat in meditation, his eyes filling with tears without knowing why. One night, in deep concentration, he saw a young woman with sorrowful eyes, holding a blood-stained cloth in her hands. She said, "You abandoned me when I was carrying your child." When he awoke, Tien Hai choked with emotion. The abbot explained that this was a karmic bond from a past life. He had once harmed a pregnant woman, causing her to die in humiliation. From then on, Tianhai repented for 49 days. He did not complain. He did not run away. He simply sat in stillness, quietly sending wholesome thoughts toward that woman. On the 50th night, she appeared in his dream, smiled, and then disappeared into a golden light. And from that moment, the pain in Tianhai's heart was gone. Transforming karma is not about words. It is about a silence deep enough to face what is there and a compassion vast enough to forgive both others and oneself. When people encounter karma, they usually react in one of two ways: anger or resentment. But both create more karma. When we become angry, unwholesome energy spreads, harming others and ourselves. When we resent, we nurture seeds of suffering and make future karma heavier. Therefore, the right way is not to react, but to contemplate in silence. Why has this come? What is it trying to teach me? What do I need to transform in my heart? A young man once asked a teacher, "Master, I live well, yet I keep facing misfortune. I see wicked people living comfortably. Is life fair?" The teacher pointed to a cracked cup. This crack didn't appear today. It comes from impacts long ago. It's not that the cup is cracked because today someone hates it. It is because it was once made from poor material. People are the same. We suffer not just because of what we did wrong today, but because old karma needs to be paid. If you live kindly today, wholesome fruits will come at the right time, with the right conditions. Hearing this, the young man burst into tears. He realized that what he needed to do was not blame life, but quietly cultivate good seeds. Silence when karma arrives is a shield that protects us from further harm. Those who know how to be silent are not swept up in the vortex of anger. And when the mind is free of anger, karma passes by much more gently. Anger makes karmic results heavier. Compassion makes them softer. Many people do not know this, so the more they suffer, the angrier they become. The angrier they become, the more they suffer. But the wise are different. The more they suffer, the more silent they become. The more silent, the clearer they see. An elderly man with graying hair once came to the temple and lamented, "I haven't done evil, so why is my life nothing but misfortune?" The master only asked, "Do you remember 20 years ago when you took in a beggar and cared for him?" The man nodded. The master said, "You once sowed a seed of merit. Your suffering today is not because you lack merit, but because old karma is being settled. Do not be afraid of suffering. Let it pass like a rain shower that washes the dust from your life." Indeed, those who understand karma do not fear suffering. When suffering comes, they do not run. They receive it in silence, as one would receive a guest who arrives right on time. That guest has come to pay a debt for them. Once the debt is paid, they become lighter than before. Like a storm that passes, the tree that does not break will stand more firmly than ever. Transforming karma through silence also means not allowing negative emotions to invade the mind. When karma is ripening, we easily fall into three traps: blaming ourselves, blaming others, and blaming life. But in mindful silence, we stop all three. We recognize that self-blame weakens the heart. Blaming others makes it heavier. Blaming life makes it more miserable. When we are silent, we begin to see more clearly. Everything that comes to us is a lesson. Those with wisdom, when facing heavy karma, often become gentler, calmer, quieter. Not because they are sad, but because they are learning great lessons. Their hearts are in the process of transformation. Their silence is like a lotus seed lying deep in the mud, saying nothing, but growing each day, waiting for the moment to rise to the surface. and bloom into a pure flower. Such people often change without even realizing it. They are no longer easily angered. They no longer stay sad for long. They no longer feel the need to argue about right and wrong. They no longer need others to understand them. They no longer feel compelled to prove anything. Their hearts become lighter, like a leaf at the end of autumn. They do not strain to appear strong, yet they become truly strong. Because real strength does not lie in loud words, but in the ability to remain unmoved by circumstances. That is the sign of someone who is transforming their karma. The Buddha taught, when a person returns to living in mindfulness, the karma of the past becomes like a handful of salt thrown into the ocean. If we put a spoonful of salt into a small bowl of water, the water will be so salty it cannot be drunk. But if we drop that same spoonful of salt into a large lake, the taste of the water will hardly change. Old karma is like that. If our mind is small, karma causes us intense pain. But if our mind is vast, karma cannot destroy us. The wider the mind, the lighter the karma. To expand the mind, we must live in silence and mindfulness. We must not let other people's words disturb us. We must not let gossip drag us away. We must not let anger flare up into action. We must not let fear drive us into panic. We learn to breathe slowly, live slowly, look deeply. We observe karma like someone standing on the riverbank, watching the water flow past, instead of jumping in and being swept away. In silence, we begin to see that karma is not something to fear. It is merely the knocking of the past at our door. When we open that door with compassion, karma enters and then leaves. When we shut it with anger, karma just stands there, unable to go. Some people say transforming karma is as hard as moving a mountain. But in truth, transforming karma is not what is difficult. Transforming the mind is. When the mind changes, karma changes on its own. When the mind is bright, the path becomes clear. When the mind is clean, karma becomes light. When the mind is wholesome, blessings come. And it all begins with a single silent moment of looking back at oneself. Whenever your mind feels disturbed, pause. Take a deep breath. Place your hand over your heart and ask, what seed am I sowing right now? If it is a wholesome seed, continue. If it is unwholesome, stop immediately. That stopping is itself the transformation of karma. No grand ceremony is needed. No pleading with anyone is required. Only mindfulness in this very moment. Transforming karma is not a miracle. It is the result of a gentle word, a wholesome action, a pure thought, a single moment of stopping short of wrongdoing. A choice to remain silent instead of joining the gossip, a smile instead of a harsh retort, a letting go instead of a desperate clinging. All those small things, when added together, become the boat that carries us across the ocean of karma. And then, one day, you will realize that the things that once caused you great suffering no longer have that power. The people who once hurt you no longer affect you. The situations that used to terrify you now feel like nothing more than a passing breeze. That is the sign that you have stepped out of the heavy field of your karma, and you will find yourself like a bamboo after the storm, flexible yet unbroken, hollow yet full of life, modest yet enduring. Transforming karma through silence is not an easy path, but it is the path that leads to the deepest peace. Because in that silence we rediscover the pure nature of our own mind. The mind was never inherently defiled. It has only been clouded by the dust of life for so many years. When we become still, the dust begins to settle, and we can finally see the bottom of our own inner lake. In that moment, we understand the Buddha's words. No one can save you but yourself. No one can transform your karma but your own mind. And we smile, knowing that we are walking on the right path. After passing through the great storms of life, after seeing enough gain and loss, after experiencing the workings of cause and effect and the lessons that come through suffering, one begins to understand that being silent is not weakness, but a mature form of strength. Those who know how to be silent are not silent because they have nothing to say, but because they no longer need to say it. And it is precisely that silence that creates a very special presence, deep, steady, and full of character. The way of life of those who know how to be silent is the way of those who possess inner power. Inner power does not come from loud words or a tough exterior, but from a mind that has been tamed and refined through countless trials. Their mind is like a still surface of water on a high mountain lake. The wind may blow, leaves may fall, but it still keeps its inherent clarity. Those who know how to be silent are, first of all, those who know how to observe. They do not rush to believe something just because they heard it once. They do not rush to object just because someone says something that displeases them. They do not rush to like or dislike based on passing emotions. They remain silent so they can see clearly, understand deeply, and perceive the essence of things. This keeps them from being easily deceived by appearances, easily hurt by careless words, or easily pulled into the whirlpool of gossip around them. Their silence is not an escape from life, but a choice to step into life with awareness. When others lose their temper, they remain calm. When others speak endlessly, they listen. When others argue, they smile, not because they are defeated, but because they know that most arguments only waste energy. People argue not to find truth, but to protect their ego. Those who know how to be silent do not need to prove themselves. They let time and their actions speak on their behalf. The way of life of those who know how to be silent is also evident in their ability to manage emotions. They do not allow anger to control their hands or their words. They do not allow sadness to drag them into chains of negative thought. They do not allow disappointment to push them into saying things that wound others. They know that every emotion will eventually pass as long as we do not chase after it. So instead of reacting, they sit down. Instead of shouting, they remain quiet. Instead of blaming, they take a deep breath. It is precisely that silence that helps them make wise decisions. While others act in haste, they act in mindfulness. Others speak just to vent, while they only speak when their words are beneficial. Others are easily shaken by external circumstances, while they maintain inner stability like a lamp in the wind. One special trait of those who know how to be silent is the peaceful energy they carry. You may notice that simply sitting beside them makes your own mind grow calmer. They do not need to preach, but their way of living is already a teaching. They do not need many words of encouragement, yet their presence alone soothes the hearts of others. There are people like that who appear in our lives, saying very little, but with just a glance, a smile, a nod, they make us feel at peace. That is the dignified presence of those who know how to be silent. Those who know how to be silent also know how to guard their speech. They do not speak ill of others, do not judge others' lives, do not cast out words that pierce the heart. Not because they fear trouble, but because they understand that speech is a type of energy. Whatever energy we send out, life will return to us in kind. Thus, they do not waste words on meaningless stories. Every word they utter carries value, maturity, and kindness. People who know how to be silent are usually reserved in how they present themselves. They do not boast of their achievements, do not complain about their failures, do not seek pity, and do not chase after recognition. They know that genuine joy lies in living true to oneself, not in how others look at them. They are free from the need to make everyone happy, because they know the most important approval is their own. Their way of life is simple, yet profound. They do not need much to feel happy. A warm meal, a good sleep, a day that passes gently, a moment spent truly with themselves, these are enough. They do not search for happiness in noise, but in small things, in each breath, each step. It is a quiet but enduring kind of happiness. A person who knows how to be silent is not someone who avoids problems. On the contrary, they face them with steadiness. They know that yelling solves nothing. Torturing oneself brings no benefit. Only clarity, patience, and wisdom can lead them through. They do not blame when facing hardship, nor do they resent when facing injustice. They view every challenge as a lesson, and that attitude helps them grow day by day. Those who know how to be silent are also very good at keeping confidences and protecting trust. They do not broadcast their own problems everywhere, nor do they use others' stories as material for gossip. They know that the more certain things are spoken of, the more they are diminished, the more exposed, the more they are hurt. They understand that privacy is the foundation of inner stability. They live from deep within, not letting life sweep them away. Another precious trait of those who know how to be silent is that they always carry a generous heart. Because they perceive the true nature of human beings, they understand that everyone has flaws. Everyone has been ignorant. They do not cling, do not harbor hatred, do not hold on to the memories that hurt them. They let go quickly because they know that clinging only causes themselves pain. Their heart is soft, but not weak, soft enough to forgive, firm enough not to be easily wounded. The way of life of those who know how to be silent is the way of those who are full inside, and thus do not need to search outside. They do not need anyone to raise them up, and do not fear being pushed down. They do not require praise and are not distressed by criticism. They do not seek noise, yet naturally have influence. They do not compete for position, yet are respected, because they radiate a steadiness that others can feel. Those who know how to be silent walk lightly yet firmly. They do not do things just to draw attention, yet whatever they do has real value. They do not live to be seen, but live to be themselves. That is the way of life of those who have deeply understood the Buddha's teaching. When the mind is still, wisdom shines. When wisdom shines, the path clears. When the path clears, the heart finds peace. And it is that inner peace that radiates outward, becoming a gentle light that warms the lives of others. By the time you reach the end of this 80-minute journey, you will realize that everything the Buddha taught, from silence, observation, patience, letting go, and knowing enough, to karma and the transformation of karma, is not some distant doctrine intended only for monastics, but a practical path to live peacefully in everyday life. These teachings do not ask us to leave the world, do not ask us to abandon our responsibilities, do not ask us to become someone else. They simply invite us to return to ourselves, to live mindfully in each moment. Because peace does not depend on where we stand, but on the state of mind we carry. A mind no longer shaken by praise or blame. A mind not swept away by greed, anger, and delusion. A mind that knows when to stop, when to let go, and how to smile amidst difficulties. When the mind is at peace, the world also becomes more peaceful. When we recall the life of the Buddha, we see that he did not leave behind palaces, treasures, or power. He left behind a path that anyone can walk, whether king or commoner, rich or poor, educated or uneducated. A path not paved with jewels, but with mindful steps, with conscious breaths, with compassion and wisdom. That path has helped countless beings go beyond suffering over the past 2,600 years, and today it is opening before you as well. If there is one message the Buddha most wished to send, it would probably be this: turn back to yourself. Do not seek peace outside. Do not depend on others' understanding. Do not wait for life to become perfect. Take care of your own mind first. When the mind is steady, The storms of life cannot knock you down. When the mind is bright, darkness cannot blind you. When the mind is quiet, you can clearly hear the footsteps of happiness approaching. And to have such a mind, the Buddha pointed out 3 essential practices. First, be silent when needed. Not silent out of weakness, but silent to see more clearly. Not silent to endure blindly, but silent to conserve the mind's energy. Not silent out of fear, but silent because wisdom is great enough not to react blindly. Second, live with compassion. Compassion is not pity. Compassion is understanding. When we understand another person's suffering, we can forgive more easily. When we understand our own limitations, we treat ourselves more gently. Compassion is the only light that can dissolve hatred, transform old karma, and heal all wounds. Third, sow wholesome seeds in every word and every thought. No one can avoid karma, but everyone can transform their karma. Karma does not bind us. Karma is simply a lesson. Each time we choose good over evil, patience over anger, letting go over clinging, stillness over noise, we are rewriting our own future. At the end of this journey, you may look back over your life and smile softly. There are things that once made you cry. There are wounds that once cut very deep. There were times you lost your way and thought you would never stand up again. But now you understand that all of these were teachers. They came to teach you about cause and effect, to teach you patience, to teach you compassion, and to teach you how to let go. If you are going through a difficult time right now, remember, no suffering is meaningless. Every pain carries a message. Listen to it in silence. Look at it with awakened eyes. Receive it with a compassionate heart. When you can do that, your pain will no longer be an enemy, but a bridge to a higher level of understanding. And if you are currently at peace, be grateful. Cherish it, sow even more wholesome seeds. For peace is a gift that is never permanent. Only those who know how to tend it in every breath can live fully in serenity. The Buddha once taught, "No one can save you but yourself. No one can purify your mind but yourself." These words are not meant to frighten us, but to make us stronger. Because they mean this: we can always begin again, anytime, anywhere, as long as we turn inward and walk with mindfulness. And before closing, let me leave you with a message that perhaps the Buddha would also want to say to all of us. The path of liberation is not somewhere far away. It lies in the silence you grant yourself. It lies in the compassion you offer to the world. It lies in each step you take, each breath you draw. As soon as you return to yourself, you will see that the light has never left you. May you, the one who has listened to this journey to the very end, always keep a peaceful heart amidst a turbulent world. May you have enough strength to let go, enough wisdom to understand, enough compassion to love, and enough mindfulness to live each day as a gift. If today's reflections on silence touched you, even just a little, hold on to that sense of peace. Silence not only softens suffering, it opens the path of transformation the Buddha taught. And if you wish to continue nurturing stillness, wisdom, and compassion each day, subscribe to Zenlight Wisdom. With a single click, you are telling yourself, "I choose peace. I choose growth. I choose mindfulness." Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so that every day you have a place to return to. A place of quiet, of understanding, and of calm. May your heart remain clear, and may your steps be gentle in this ever-changing world.